All right. First off, thank you all for coming out. This is the October 3rd community meeting. We realized that we don't really have a lot of the EU guys here simply because of the time difference, but hopefully they'll see this video and they can get caught up. So, for the most part, this is just going to be a recap of what's going on within the community, what staff is working on, and we'll cover all those kind of topics, and then we'll switch over and get questions, suggestions, or comments from the community regarding anything that we talked about or anything relating to squad ops in general. So to start off, I guess for those who don't know what squad ops is a One Life community where we host events and operations for our community members as well as training. And so recently we've been pushing out about 2 new ops per month. So we have 2 new ops rotate on a Friday. So we have, Op 1 is the first week, Op 2 is the second week, but then we go back to Op 1 and then back to Op 2. And we've been pretty good sticking to that schedule of having brand new ops every Friday. Or every other Friday, I should say. We do rerun our old ops on Wednesdays. That's usually when we rerun it, and we have an NA session for that on Wednesdays, but we still need a couple more EU staff for Wednesday operations, for Wednesday EU operations. That being said, the new op that we have lined up for the next month is going to be Operation Crazy Horse, which we tested on Wednesday, and Operation Neighborhood Watch, which we'll be testing this Saturday. So basically, the overview of the ops is one op is a U.S. has to defend and build a fob while Russians attack it. That's the general feel for that op. And then the Operation Neighborhood Watch is more of a door-to-door search and destroy kind of op where U.S. has to find and destroy certain targets. And that'll be fun on Friday. So this next current week, the schedule for this week is tomorrow we have our Advanced Weapon Systems class. It's an SOTT course, a brand new SOTT course that basically, it's not mandatory, but it's optional, and it allows members who certify and complete the training to essentially get preferential kit selection in our ops. Basically, if you have the tag, you'll pretty much get first dibs on, whatever kit that you're, certified with. But if you don't have the tag, it means that you still have a chance to play that role. But, the members who have undergone the certification process will get preference over you. So it's not really mandatory, but it's kind of incentivized simply because we still see odd things happening, like people getting hit with backblast and people not utilizing the 40 mic properly, and so on and so forth. So that's happening on Tuesdays. Once again, most, if not all of our events have 2 times. For EU, it's going to be 20 UTC, and for NA, it's 20 CT. So you can catch either the NA or the EU session. You're not locked out of either region. It's just we have 2 sessions to accommodate for 2 different time zones. But NA are welcome to join EU, and EU are welcome to join NA. Moving on to Wednesday. Like I said before, we're still waiting on more staff for Wednesday EU ops, but we still have Wednesday NA ops. The ops on Wednesdays are considered open. What that means is anyone is welcome to join, whether you passed basic training or not. And what that essentially means is that it's a way to get your feet wet in squad ops without actually, having to register and, complete basic training and learn all these things and get to know certain people. It's a way of kind of being able to test the waters, as well as just adding another op day for our regulars. So that's Wednesdays, and it's only for NA sessions. And this Wednesday, it's going to be Operation Neighborhood Watch. We're going to be running it and trying to test the waters of how that's going to run, and then we'll go into more thorough testing for that on Saturday. Thursday, as always, we're going to have an EU SOTT basic course and an NA SOTT basic course. So we've moved SOTT basic from Saturdays to Thursdays simply because it makes more sense to complete the training before the Friday op rather than after. Simply because the Friday ops are you are required to have completed SOTT basic for Friday ops. Once again, SOTT basic is the only mandatory course for squad ops. It will be the only one moving into the future as well. We're not going to add mandatory courses. It's a 15-minute course that goes over and creates a standard SOP for multiple things such as contact reports, structure, and certain movements and just gets everyone on the same page, regardless of if you've had real world experience or absolutely no experience. By the end of this course, you should be on the same page as everyone else with the pure basics. Moving on to Friday. Friday is going to be our closed op for EU and NA. Once again, that means that you must have completed the basic training. For Friday, we're going to be running Operation Crazy Horse. A couple of you have played this op. A couple of you have not. Crazy Horse is essentially, an attack and defend, except US now gets to build as much as they can so long as they have supplies running to and from the base. So Russia has to make the conscious decision of, do we attack the base or do we hit the convoy first? So it's a fun op. It's our first op, actually, with conventional forces fighting against each other. So it'll be US versus Russia. So you get to see those Humvees against the BTR and the BTR hitting the Humvees and all that kind of cool stuff. So that's what we have for Friday. And then Saturday, we're going to start bringing back our testing days. And this serves two purposes. One, we've been getting a lot of requests for having operations on the weekend. For this weekend purely, we're going to run 2 operations on Saturday, one for EU, one for NA, and whichever operation time gets more people would most likely be the one that we stick with. We're not gonna. It's unlikely that we'll run 2 operations unless we have, a good sized turnout for Saturday ops. But we'll see. This is basically going to be testing to see if our testing sessions are a viable thing to be doing. So that'll be interesting to see. So stop by on Saturday if you want to play another op, because some people just get to play one op, or sometimes they can't attend Wednesday or Friday. So Saturdays are going to kind of be a solution to that for now. Sunday, we don't have anything planned, and then we start off a new week with the Tuesday going back to AWS class. So that's pretty much the lineup for this week. And what's going on with this current situation. As far as our teams and what we've been working on, we're working on improving our website and allowing it to be more visible for certain things, such as, hey, Fridays require you to complete basic, or, what exact day is this event going to be on and what time. We're going to make it a little more easier and accessible for you to understand the information that you're seeing. We're also going to be revamping a couple of the rules. I'm personally going to make sure that all the rules are up to date with version 7, simply because there are certain things that we've left out with this new patch, and so those will have a new kind of refresher. But as far as website design, that's a couple things. We have a couple surprises that we're still trying to see are going to work, but for the most part, we're still working on visibility and accessibility. As far as our mod dev team, we are actually working on a really cool surprise for you guys. Hamley is working on a really cool surprise, and you'll see that coming hopefully within the next couple of weeks here. And it'll be a pretty cool, unique, and only original thing that Squad Ops is doing. As far as our SOTT, like I said, we have our Advanced Weapons Systems class, which rolls out every Tuesday at 20 CT and 20 UTC. And then we are actually actively working on developing good solid SOPs for vehicles, so that we have trained drivers and gunners, so we don't have people, flipping over into ditches or turning the wrong way or reading the compass incorrectly. We have good people that we can rely on to operate our vehicles effectively. And then finally, our admin team has been doing a good job of keeping our public servers, popped and under control. There's been an influx of a lot of, for lack of better word, noobs and disruptive noobs. But we're doing our best to kind of, control the environment and, not necessarily just ban them straight out, but try to fix the problem and try to teach these players as well. As far as our public servers, there are a couple questions revolving the whitelist server and our second server. So we currently have 2 servers for Squad Ops. As a reminder that all 4 of our servers are sponsored by Blue Fang Solutions, and they provide us pretty good service. But our first server is the main server that most of us are pretty much aware of, which is the squadops.gg whitelist server, NA whitelist server. So there's a couple questions regarding the whitelist server. Number one is, what does that mean? What does the whitelist mean? Well, currently, whitelist really only means that so long as you've registered on our website, you get a free reserve slot. And getting a free reserve slot is pretty big, because it pretty much guarantees you a slot on the server. We have about 6 reserve slots on the server, which means that we have, there's pretty much always going to be an open slot if you have that whitelist enabled, which means as long as you've registered on the site. The second question we get is, are you planning on closing off the whitelist so it's truly a whitelist and so that only people who have registered have gotten on the server? The answer to that question is yes. Eventually, at some point in time, when Squad does get enough players, or when Squad Ops gets enough registered players on our website, we will eventually close off the server entirely, 72 out of 72 reserve slots, so that only our Squad Ops players can play on the whitelist server. So that's pretty much the stats with the whitelist. Eventually, we'll get to that point. But for as of right now, there simply are not enough players who have registered, and simply not enough squad players in general to complete a functioning whitelist-only server. The third and final question we really get about the whitelist server is, can we enforce some kind of training or SOTT basic on our whitelist server? The answer to that is no. We can't really control that, and it's kind of against the the actual join squad licensing rules, server licensing rules. Like when you get put on the public server list and not on the custom servers list, there's a set of rules that we have to abide by, and we can't really force people to attend SOTT Basic to play on our public server. Our second server, which many of you probably don't know about, but some of you might be like, oh wow, I should probably start playing on this server, is our low pop server. Now, the reason why we have a low pop server is because we've noticed that there have been very few servers on the squad server list that have about 40 slots. Our current private low pop or public low pop server is 40 out of 72 open. What that means is 40 public players can come and join, but there are 32 reserve slots, which means sometimes it'll overflow to 50, but I've never seen it go above 50. And what that means with a low pop server is that you'll get better frames, simply because there are less things going on the map and there are less players. You'll get better frames on the low pop server. So the low pop server actually performs pretty well if you have a weaker rig. But as far as staff members, we've been doing our best to keep that stuff popped and keep all that stuff under control. That's pretty much the update with all the teams and what we've been working on. Our mod is still in development and still being pushed to release. As you all know, the general outlook for the mod is a hardcore but fun and tactical environment. So we're going to be removing a lot of the features that Squad has, such as like certain map markers, or, you know, being able to do certain things. It'll be a more hardcore squad, but not too hardcore in the sense that it completely slows down the game to a halt. So that's, of course, going to go through testing, but we are looking at we're hoping to launch that program and that mod along with the official launch of mod support with Squad. So that's what's going on with our actual hardcore mod. And once again, a reminder that this hardcore mod will be run on our servers, one of our public servers, so you'll be able to kind of get a pubby but hardcore feel Squad Ops. But then we'll also be taking this mod and using it in our private events to make our private events feel a little more structured, simply because we have the tools now to control certain aspects. But that's pretty much everything that's going on with Squad Ops, what our plan is for the next week and basically for this next month. A recap of, you know, some things that we introduced but didn't necessarily explain, such as advanced weapon systems, the whitelist, you know, basically these systems that we put in place without actually making a formal statement or announcement. This is pretty much how we're explaining what those systems are and what they are used for and how they're working. So hopefully this kind of gives you a little peek into the bigger picture and what we're working on. Once again, that finishes pretty much our side of the meeting. If you guys as community members have any questions about anything that we touched on, or anything that you want to talk about or suggest, or would like to see us do, go ahead and feel free to speak up now. Anyone?
I'll ask a question.
Go ahead, Jake.
What's the timeline on the mod coming out? Like, how is it, like 6 months away or less?
So the mod is going to be launching alongside mod support with Squad Ops, or not, I'm sorry, not Squad Ops, but the official Squad game, and that is rumored to come out around V8, I think, with V8 or A1, which is Alpha 1, which would be after V8. So it's okay. Pretty close. So I'd say within 6 months.
Cool.
Anyone else have any questions?
I'd just like to say thanks to you, Karmakut, and all your staff for doing a great job. I think what you're doing here is terrific. Appreciate it.
I agree. Awesome job.
Yep.
I want more ops, more.
We're working on it.
More
I know how it
everything.
is.
Yeah, can you guys write a letter to my employer to get me Fridays off?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Who the
thank
fuck's
you.
ever muted me?
Yeah, we appreciate that. We love to see that people are more and more people every day are joining and trying to get and see what we're kind of creating here, and we really appreciate that, and we really want to kind of create a community revolved around that. So that's something that I want to touch on that I haven't touched on before is our regular program. So recently you might have seen our regular program starting to take place, and we didn't really make an official statement about that, which is something we got to actually start working on, is making sure that certain systems that when we put them into effect that we kind of make some kind of announcement. That's a fault on our side. But anyways, the regular program is essentially a program that kind of, I guess, rewards community members that, understand what squad ops is, who are enthusiastic about squad ops, who stick around for ops and get to know the people in the community. And that's essentially the regular program. The regular program pretty much, there is no application process. It's an invite only process, which I'm not going to go into details on how that process works, but essentially if you are around enough and we know your name and we are and you show up to a lot of ops and you show up to playing pubs, that's how you would get into the regular program. And feel assured that even if you haven't gotten contacted about it yet, so long as you're actively, showing that you're professional, you're mature, that you understand what squad ops is, and that you enjoy the community and want to be part of the community, we see that and we will put you on a list, and we're slowly going down the list right now. So just don't worry about oh my god, I've been here since the beginning, I still haven't gotten invited. We've got a whole list because we're bringing this program in late and we got to chew through all the members. So once again, as long as you want to be part of the community, you should most likely end up a part of the community. All right, that's pretty much it. That's all I got, unless anyone wants to bring anything up. No? All right, then that's pretty much it. I'll tie it off here. Don't want to take too much of you guys' time. Once again, we appreciate you guys for showing up, and we're glad that everyone's having a good time, and we're excited for what we're bringing and what we're building for the future. And it's gonna be quite a wild ride, but I'm sure we'll learn a lot doing it, and we'll have a lot of fun doing it.
You guys are headed in the right direction, I think.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love what we're doing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I do too. Give y'all 110% support.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Well, I'll
Glad you're back.
call that the end of this meeting, and we'll see you hopefully at the next month's community meeting.
Okay, good night, everybody.
All right.
See you guys.
See ya.
All right.